Good morning. Thank you for having me. So let's start with having a look at the evolution of the telephone. So the telephone first came about right around the 1870s. Back then, a telephone was only connected to one other telephone. And we waited about 50 years until we saw a leap in the technology. We got the rotary phone. We can now dial other telephones. And then we waited another 40 years till we got the touchtone phone. Phones start having buttons. We can even program them. And then we waited 30 more years till we saw the adoption of the mobile wireless phone. It had a battery, didn't need a phone line. You can put it in your pocket if it's big enough. And then we waited another 20 years until we got the smartphone. We can now enjoy memes anywhere we like, or whatever it is you do with a thing. So this begs the question. The smartphone came right about in the 2010s. So when do you think the next big leap will come? It's going to come pretty soon, isn't it? In fact, personally, I think we're overdue. If you look at a progression as a chart, you'll see that the gaps in between these leaps kept getting shorter and shorter. Went from 50 years, 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, 10 years. After that, probably it'll be the next month. I don't know. Imagine that. But despite that, the impact each leap has made to human life kept growing greater and greater. Just look at how the smartphone changed all our lives. So what do we do? How do we respond? Because big change is coming, and it's coming really soon, and nobody knows what it will look like. So in thinking about this problem, I think of my musician friends. So I play music. I play the electric guitar. And I believe that musicians are the people most well-equipped to handle big, sudden changes. Wouldn't you agree with me? They are the best improvisers. They live for moments like that. So I want to share you a story. I love telling this story. So there was this one time I was asked to be a replacement guitarist for a band. We had 1 week before a show. Had time to do one rehearsal. Went great. Until 5 minutes before we went on stage, the band decided to change the set list. They added a song I've never played before. I panicked. What do I play? Where do I start? What are you going to play? Anxiety was building up. So my bandmate approached me, and he told me this. Hey, George, if you don't know what to play, just try and play something interesting. Anything. And if it sounds wrong, you do it again. In fact, you do it 2 more times. People would just think it's jazz. It was bad advice, obviously. I bombed the set, but it was a great experience. He was joking, right? But there's truth in that joke. I learned something. So when the song is about to change and you don't know what the song is, what do? What do musicians do? They do what they do best. They adapt. They reach into their bag of experience, of skills. They try to pull out something interesting, and they try to synthesize in the moment. They use attention as a springboard to create great music. And another thing I learned about musicians, it's that the musicians who play the most interesting things are musicians who's had experience playing across diverse range of musical styles and even instruments. They simply have a lot more in their bag they can pull out. They can combine different beats with different melodies, different rhythms with different scales, different sounds, and create really compelling, interesting music. I love that. And I think we can learn from that. That is a really great approach in responding to big change. When we open ourselves to learn across diverse disciplines, we stand the best chance to make the best out of the uncertain future. And there's another thing I want to tell you, and this is the big one. When you learn across disciplines, you will become rich. You heard me right. Rich. So listen up. This is how it'll play out. When you learn across diverse disciplines, 3 big things will happen. The first one, you will meet a community of people with different mindsets and perspectives. You will have diversity. The second thing that will happen, you will have the opportunity to cross-pollinate different ideas from different fields, creating really interesting combinations. You will have great ideas. The third thing that will happen, you will build yourself a foundation of shared language and common experience with people from different fields. You will have empathy, and that makes you a great collaborator. So you take these 3 things. You have diversity, you have ideas, you have collaboration. You put them together, and what do you get? You get great innovation. And when you create great innovation, you transform into a unicorn and get super rich. I told you. You can even meet other unicorns, merge, do an IPO, get even richer. You're welcome. So, I'm kidding. A little bit. I mean, whatever motivates you, right? So I want to tell you about 2 stories of my former students. This is Camellia. Camellia went to secretarial school, but she quickly wanted to broaden her horizon. She wanted to advance her career, so she took a leap of faith. she decided she's going to learn app development. But not just app development, she particularly learned the design part of it and the engineering part of it. She learned to design and code mobile apps. So today, Camellia is a successful iOS engineer at one of the big travel startups. Now, I bring up this story because it's so relevant. Recently, we all experienced major change, didn't we? The COVID pandemic happened, and it hit the travel industry particularly hard. Now, her company experienced layoffs, but they kept her, a junior engineer. They kept her precisely because of her diverse set of skills. It meant she worked very well with designers or coders, which is a rare skill. So, in learning these diverse skills, she directly increased her value. I want to tell you about Marilyn. Marilyn went to electrical engineering school, but she quickly found out that that industry isn't particularly welcoming towards women at the time. So she went another path. She worked in banking. She spent 10 years there and hit the same wall. So she felt that her gender was limiting the advance of her career. So she made the same leap of faith that Camellia did. She learned technology. Now, she has never touched code before learning, but she went ahead and learned it anyway. Along the way, she met a group of like-minded people and formed a team. They made this device you can install yourself at home to analyze your electrical usage. Really cool. Now, they are a fledgling startup. They have funding, they're all over the news, and people have been starting using their products. This is a picture I took of her when she was rehearsing for a presentation to our ministers. Really a proud moment. So, those two stories are stories of women who went ahead, learned something they're not familiar with, and succeeded. But I want to acknowledge something. Even today, that's not an easy feat. When you decide that maybe you want to learn something new, walls will come up in your mind. You may think, I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. It's too late for me. I'm not the right gender. You may even feel that you don't have the support of the people closest to you. Or simply the most common thought of all, what if I fail? I'm going to tell you that if you have an idea, if you see an opportunity, you have a vision for a better future, it's worth trying. And while you're trying, I want to tell you that it's not entirely on you to bring down those walls. Because I want to turn to your teachers, to your parents, your peers, policymakers, leaders. We have a job to do. They are going into a deep, dark tunnel. We need to join them, but not to walk beside them. We need to join them in that tunnel to turn on the lights. Make it a bright path. How do you do this? It can be as simple as saying, go, you got this. It can be giving them enough time and space to explore. It can be celebrating their failures. It can be doing all we can to lower the cost of time and resource it takes to learn. It can be rewriting the rules. Imagine that. So, in closing, I want to leave you with two quotes from different parts of my life that I hold very dear. The first quote, this is from a student of mine. And this quote represents other similar voices that are far too often heard. It goes like this. Hey, Ka, I'm a computer engineering student, but I don't really like it. Actually, I like cooking. But at the time, my family didn't really think it was a good idea for me to go to cooking school. I'm about to graduate, so I guess it's too late for me. And I don't think I have the skills to catch up. I've put in all this time and resources to learn all these things, so I might as well use it, right? I'll try and get a job and get by. This is a true quote. The second quote I want to share with you is from my meeting. I met a great Indonesian sculptor. Her name is Ibu Dolo. She said this: why is it that kids are being restrained by education? Isn't it the point of education to free us and give us more choices? Let's go turn on those lights. Thank you very much.